So welcome again, friends. I'm so glad that you're here this month, the month of June. Well, first of all, let's just take a breath. There's been so much good already shared in this service. The music has transported me into another place, and the opportunity to do prayer and meditation with you this morning is so wonderful. And much like last week, I so wish in this season that I could see you all, particularly right now, with everything that is happening in the world. But I'm so grateful that we do have this platform to connect with heart and mind with each other. And so I reached out a few weeks ago, seeing the theme for this month as mindfulness for Mavericks. And I said, I know some Mavericks. I know some Maverick people who are spiritual Mavericks in my mind. And I want to invite them to come and share a message with us. And this morning is my dear friend, Reverend Lola Wright. She serves with me and many other wonderful souls on the Association for Global New Thoughts Leadership Council, who Michael Bernard Beckwith is our founder and president of the association. And she's been a minister in New Thought for many years, led a magnificent, transformational, groundbreaking spiritual community in Chicago called Bodhi Spiritual Center for many years. She's branched out of that and brought spiritual community to city wineries and these great, amazing venues with absolutely fabulous music, a wonderful program called House of Lola. And she's got a podcast, and she's speaking and teaching all over the place. And as I said in the interview that we did for the New Thoughts podcast, trying to capture her bio in just a few words is a little bit hard to do. So I said, whatever box you try to put Lola in, she's going to origami it into something brand new and create a new art form from that. She is just a powerful truth teller, paradigm shifter, and birther of new consciousness and new realities. And I love her so much, and I'm so grateful that she is able to join us this morning. So please help me welcome the Reverend Lola Wright.
I'm very, very grateful to be with you, Reverend David. Thank you for inviting me. I bow deeply to the incredible work that you bring forward into the world. I bow deeply to the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. Thank you for having me. We are living in the tension of transformation. There are all kinds of paradoxes that we are living in the midst of. When Reverend David asked me to speak, and he gave me sort of a list of potential talk topics, I sort of jumped at this one called Just Breathe. And it's ironic because we're living in a time where we're hearing so frequently, I can't breathe. We're hearing I can't breathe by way of a pandemic. We're hearing I can't breathe by way of the pressures of this economy. We're hearing I can't breathe with a knee in my neck. We are living in a collective experience where our breath is being stifled. And yet, how can we ask the question or provoke the inquiry of just breathe in the midst of this? And I would say we must. We must develop the spiritual maturity, the capacity to live in the tension of transformation. See, we have long spent time sort of orienting our movement in our thinking mind. You and I are not limited to our thinking mind. We have these incredible centers of intelligence that are our feeling states, our emotional intelligence, our body sensations, our body intelligence. When we cut off our intelligence centers and locate ourselves only in our thinking mind, we create suffering, we create havoc, we create separation from self and separation from another. And when we are living in a paradigm of separation, death becomes a viable option. When we are living in the hysteria of our humanity and the absence of our divinity, we walk on the planet in a kind of egoic construct rooted in fear and maintained by the thinking mind. what we are living in the midst of both requires the activation of a transformed thinking mind and the deep reservoir of the body and the feelings. So, as we're moving through this time, trying to make sense of the complexities, the intersections, I'm struck. If I were to be really honest with you, I'm struck by what has occurred in my life in the last 5 days. So let me explain. I have been strategically and actively devoted to disrupting white-bodied supremacy for over 30 years. In the first 10 years of my life, I began to observe, like all of us do, some disjointed ways of being on the planet. By the time I was 13, I began to put to words what I was noticing. For the last 30 years, I have had very uncomfortable, regular conversations with white identified people about the state of white-bodied supremacy and the systems that support it. And for the last 30 years, I have regularly been met with resistance. I have regularly been met with a disinterest to discuss. And then somehow, some way, in the last 5 days, there is a kind of hysteria that has erupted among white identified bodies to have a conversation about the end of racism. And I bring this up not to invoke discouragement, but to invoke sobriety. I'm drawn to an author, teacher, activist, revolutionary by the name of Assata Shakur. I first read the book Assata when I was 16, and there was a wave, a vibration of truth and exposure in that text that was like nothing I had been exposed to up to that point in my life. And in her book, Assata writes, "Revolutionary struggle is scientific rather than emotional." I'm not saying that we shouldn't feel anything, but decisions can't be based on love or on anger. They have to be based on the objective conditions on what is the rational, unemotional thing to do. And so I bring this to our awareness because we are living in a time where there is great temptation to be woken up by reactivity and to be hijacked by our own hysteria. And I suppose that if that's what gets you moving in a particular direction, I welcome that. And yet I fear that you will exhaust yourself if you are mobilized by your emotionality. I fear that if you are moved by your reactionary self, that it will not have a longevity, a fortitude, a stamina. The work of dissolving the lie of separation, first and foremost within myself, and then in every interaction that I meet, requires a stamina. So I invite you to take a breath right now. Just breathe. In this now moment, what is mobilizing me? What has activated me into action? Now, any great revolutionary leader, evolutionary leader is going to work with the energy that is present. We are going to work with the energy. We are going to work to transmute it and transform it so that we may transcend our reactivity and actually contribute to the midwifing of a new reality, or perhaps better said, a restoration of our essential nature. But I ask you to breathe, because I am worried. I am worried that you will exhaust yourself. I am worried that you will be wrapped up in a moment of an adrenaline hit for change. I am worried that in a week, you will lay that down and go back to your habituated patterns. I am worried that we do not understand what is happening in the human consciousness right now. You know, many of us love this great body of work made popular by Eckhart Tolle. This work is called The Power of Now. And probably one of the most poignant moments in the entire book that I would argue we do not speak enough about is said like this. A woman asks, and I got to tell you, if you have the opportunity to listen to it on audio, it's more satisfying and it really gives you the texture. I don't like the word sin. It implies that I'm being judged or found guilty. It implies that there is something wrong with me. And Eckhart Tolle responds as only Eckhart Tolle can respond. And he says, of course, there is something wrong with you. We could not have killed hundreds of millions of people in the 20th century alone if there wasn't something wrong with you. So how can I be in the tension of transformation? How can I know the truth of who I am, the essential nature of my existence as more than the hysteria of my humanity? And yet, can I be sober enough? Can I develop a kind of spiritual maturation that can offer a great and meaningful and mobilizing critique of myself? See, you and I are being called into a greater state of maturation. Simple thought processes will not move us into this next time and space. The spirit of life within you pressed through you at this time on the planet as you, such that you may disrupt the status quo consciousness. May I be honest and look at myself and say, how have I become complacent and complicit? How have I anesthetized my emotional intelligence and located myself in my thinking mind? How have I become resigned and apathetic, thinking that a police state or a militarized existence is the future of our humanity? How have I stopped breathing? How have I been taken out and numbed out through my creature comforts? See, you are here on the planet at this time and space to become the integrated self. You are here to be a revolutionary, an evolutionary, not to pacify through some apathetic, listless conversation about oneness. You're here to accelerate an awakening. So I invite you to take a deep breath in this now moment. Not a breath that ends at your throat, but a breath that goes into the wild of your belly. The part of you that may not tolerate. Your constitution is not made to tolerate the kind of sickness that we are living in the midst of. Audre Lorde, brilliant librarian, womanist, teacher, leader, provocateur, said in a 1980 interview, as we get in touch with the things that feel intolerable in our lives, they become more and more intolerable. If we just once dealt with how much we hate most of what we do, there would be no holding us back from changing it. How have I designed my existence with all kinds of trappings? See, you and I are being asked to develop ourselves into a greater, more robust, more dynamic, more complex creature than our reactivity. What change makers, what revolutionaries, what transformational teachers have done over the course of existence is find the point of intersection between the body, the feelings, and the mind, between science, religion, and philosophy. You are being called to step into the integrated self. If this is a moment that only activates your emotionality and your reactivity, then expect to be in an ongoing conversation that says, I cannot breathe. You and I are here for more than that. We can hold the spectrum. We can hold the dissonance. We can hold a critique and know that love and oneness is the nature of reality. But if you and I only take for a moment to wake up and then go back to our sleepy slumber, this will be nothing more than an adrenaline hit. So I want us to practice a couple things here today. I want us to leave not with just an intellectual argument, but with a somatic experience. See, your body is your great power center. The reason we have dislocated human beings from their body and their feelings is because if you were living in an integrated existence, you would be unstoppable. If you had a sense of alignment between the mind, the heart, and the gut, you would be unstoppable. So here we go. I invite you to take a deep breath. Let us breathe as an act of resistance. Let us breathe as an act of justice. Let us breathe in honor of Tony McDade, in honor of Breonna Taylor, in honor of Ahmaud Arbery, in honor of George Floyd, in honor. Let us just breathe. I invite you to bring your awareness to the tip of your nose. Notice the breath as it enters the body. Begin to bring your awareness to any gripping, clenching, or bracing. So you cannot have this kind of trauma exist in the human experience and not have it live in your cellular memory. Whether you played the role of the oppressed or you played the role of the oppressor, we have all been deeply impacted by violence. We are living in a collective trauma experience. We are in the midst of this tension of transformation. And I invite you to just breathe in this moment. And I want you to pay particular attention to your jaw. I want you to invite the jaw to fall. Invite the tongue to rest on the bottom inside of the teeth. Create spaciousness between your top and bottom teeth. Your jaw is directly correlated with your cervix. Your jaw is directly correlated with the place where life and birth and awakening comes from. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Allow the breath to enter into the belly. Invite the belly to soften, the shoulders to fall. Allow whatever feelings are here to be fully felt. Notice the presence of sadness, the presence of anger, the presence of fear, the presence of joy, the presence of creativity, of the new. Would you be willing to allow all of your feelings to be welcomed here? And collectively, as Devon demonstrated so beautifully, I now want to ask you to bring your lips to a close, keeping the jaw relaxed, bringing your lips to a close. And I want to invite you to practice the art of humming. Find whatever tone, whatever pitch is comfortable for you. What we are doing is working at the level of the mind, the feelings, and the body. If we only work at the level of the mind, this work will wear out and it will not be comprehensive. I want to invite you to hum a couple times together. If you're alone, allow your body to move. If you're surrounded by others, feel the vibratory sensation among you. What we are doing is moving the body. We are engaging our central nervous system consciously. I want you and me to be part of this evolutionary, revolutionary trigger. I do not want us to be in a moment of hysteria or emotionality. I do not want us to be apathetic or resigned or cynical. You have pressed into this dimension of reality at this time in the evolution of humanity to be a unique contribution to the awakening of consciousness. So we need to breathe where we can, as deeply as we can, as a revolutionary act, as an evolutionary act, so that we have the capacity to tap into our divinity and move beyond our survival-based patterns. My request is that you pay particular attention to the tendency to get hijacked, to get seduced, to get tempted by drama. Our drama-based patterns are highly addictive, and they keep the entire game in place. But you are here for more than that. You are here for more than an adrenaline hit of drama. So with that in mind, let us take another deep breath in together. Bring your awareness to your breath. Keep breathing. Move the hips. Loosen the knees. You and I are called to be fluid, to be flexible. When we lock ourselves in positions, when we find ourselves defending, we become cut off from our creativity, our capacity to rise in this tension of transformation. I'll close with this. It came through my meditation practice yesterday, and I think it's deeply, deeply important and essential in this time of expansion. It comes from Paramahansa Yogananda, the Self-Realization Fellowship. To be controlled by moods is to be a part of matter. If you keep your mind on the resolve never to lose your peace, then you can attain godliness. Keep a secret chamber of silence within yourself, where you will not let moods, trials, battles, or inharmony enter. Keep out all hatred, revengefulness, and desires. In this chamber of peace, God will visit you. So today we breathe. We breathe as a revolutionary act. We breathe as an evolutionary act. We believe that the breath is what amplifies existence. And so we rest easy in our breath. I bow deeply to your practice. I give great thanks for your willingness to sit in the discomfort of the moment, to rise beyond the need to anesthetize, to use your incredible capacity for great strategy, for great movement making. I bow deeply to your sense that your hysteria is insufficient. Your emotionality will wane. And I leave you with the question, who will you be once your mood lifts? How will you devote your life to dissolving the lie of separation, to invoking your wild side and birthing a new paradigm? I'm very grateful to be with you, Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. Thank you for having me. Keep breathing, keep moving, keep going beyond your reactivity. Peace and many blessings.
Wow, thank you. This deep bow to my dear friend, Reverend Lola. Thank you so much. That was not just amazing, but a perfect way to start this entire month-long series on mindfulness for Mavericks. And I would say a powerful way to ground ourselves in what I believe is the evolutionary thing that is happening within Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We are a place that is committed to that wholeness integration, spirit, mind, and body, awakening the conscious activist. That is grounded in our principles, how to apply them to ourselves, how to move them through the body, and apply them out in the world with our feet and our actions. So it is our time for grateful giving, and I am so grateful for all of the ways in which circulation takes place in this body called Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. For those of you, again, who are monthly contributors, thank you so much for setting that up and being a part of that base of support. If you were moved by what you heard, what you felt, what you experienced in your body today, I invite you to be in conscious relationship with that by being in circulation with it. You have received something, now circulate back out in a monetary way that consciously recognizes the giving and receiving process that is taking place in your mind, heart, and soul. Our text to give number is there. Our website is available for the other forms, PayPal, etc. And so for all of the great ways that good is coming to us now, pressed down and overflowing, I'm truly, truly grateful. And let's affirm together. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.